speak of peace because of the new face of war. Total war makes no sense in an age where great powers can maintain large and relatively invulnerable nuclear forces and refuse to surrender without resort to those forces. It makes no sense in an age where a single nuclear weapon contains almost 10 times the explosive force delivered by all the Allied air forces in the Second World War. It makes no sense in an age when the deadly poisons produced by a nuclear exchange would be carried by wind and water and soil and seed to the far corners of the globe and to generations yet unborn.
We heard from the United States that they would stop military drills. No, they have another military exercise, and North Korea responded by launching another missile. You have to stop at a certain point. You have to stop this from spiraling. You provoked North Korea, so what good came out of it? We think both sides should stop escalating the situation.
The North Korean leader's got to be pleased with what his rogue regime has been doing and accomplishing over the last couple months. Dangerous for the rest of the world. New images showing Kim Jong-un with government officials, as well as those behind the recent ICBM launch by the country. That missile confirmed by our own experts to be able to target anywhere in the mainland U.S., potentially, as well as potentially having a nuclear payload on top. Following that launch, his government declared that North Korea was a nuclear state, did have a rocket force, leading some of experts that we speak to say that perhaps they'd be willing to talk now if there was a freeze in U.S. exercises with South Korea, which drives them crazy. But there's no sign of that. Wrapping up today, a two-day naval exercise involving U.S., South Korean, and Japanese destroyers equipped with anti-missile gear. The new fear is that North Korea might be developing missiles that could be launched from their submarines. Finally, the Winter Olympics in South Korea, they are less than 2 months away, and they're being held something like 50 miles south of the DMZ. Today, South Korean security officials were going through the drills trying to prevent anything from happening against those games, simulating attacks with chemical weapons, a drone armed with a bomb, even a hostage-taking. Again, a lot of fingers crossed that these, what they call Peace Olympics, will go forward without a hitch.
We heard a recent statement from Rex Tillerson, and this is really encouraging. I think there has been some shifts with the State Department, maybe with the CIA, intelligence services. If we all proceed from common sense, if we all act like this, of course we will cooperate with the United States on all issues, including North Korea.
Now, the White House says no dialogue can take place between the United States and North Korea until the regime changes its behavior. This completely contradicts an earlier remark by Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, who said Washington was ready to hold talks at any time and without preconditions. Eugene He reports.
A spokesperson for the White House National Security Council told Reuters on Wednesday that now is not the time for negotiations with North Korea, given its recent ballistic missile test. On the same day, State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert also said there would have to be a period of calm in which the regime suspends all weapons testing before any dialogue can resume.
So what you're saying is that there has to be a period of calm before you even sit down at the table.
We remain open to dialogue, and we've long said this. We remain open to dialogue when North Korea is willing to conduct a credible dialogue on the peaceful denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. We are not seeing any evidence that they are ready to sit down and have those kinds of conversations right now.
This is raising questions over Secretary of State Rex Tillerson's earlier comments, where he said the U.S. was ready to hold talks with Pyongyang at any time without preconditions.
We've said from the diplomatic side, we're ready to talk anytime North Korea would like to talk. And we're ready to have the first meeting without precondition.
Tillerson's offer appeared to signal a shift away from Washington's demand that no dialogue with North Korea can take place without including discussions over its denuclearization.
To North Korea, this is the only way of self-preservation. They have to have WMDs and missiles, and now they have a missile that can reach the United States. This is extremely dangerous, and we told the United States about this. Even if you suppose that the United States launched some kind of strike against North Korea, even if it's conventional weapons, if it's high-precision missiles, where are you going to strike? Does the CIA know specifically which targets they have to hit? No, of course not. North Korea is a closed country. There are things you may know about it, and things that you certainly don't know. And just if North Korea launches its missiles, consequences will be catastrophic. Now, this will be extremely dangerous if they do that with North Korea. We know that there was an instance when the United States used nuclear weapons. There was one instance when the U.S. used nuclear weapons against Japan, and even back then I think it was unwarranted.
We didn't know what we did, really. Didn't sink in, and we brought in the atomic agent about 5-10 years later.
A short time ago, an American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima and destroyed its usefulness to the enemy. That bomb has more power than 20,000 tons of TNT.
We met Colonel Tibbets for the first time, and he told us that there's a new bomb under construction. And if it's successful, it's going to shorten the war. He could not tell us what it was or anything about it. He just told that we were going to be under tight security, and we were limited in our movements, and we had to learn to keep our mouth shut. And he pointed to a sign that was outside the airbase. What you see here, when you leave here, let it stay here. I think it was around August 5th. My crew was called into a special meeting. We were searched partially. We had to empty our pockets as we went into the room, and we were told what the targets were: Hiroshima, Kokura, and Nagasaki. And they were in that order. I never heard the word atomic bomb until the next day. By the time we got up to where the bomb was, we were about 30,000 feet. The atomic cloud was already higher than we were. And after the explosion, I also took some photographs with my private camera. Up until about 2-3 years ago, it was not known, but through a book that was written by some Brits, said in there that during processing, the emulsion came off the film. Therefore, my 2 shots with the private camera are the only ones in existence showing the start of the explosion.
And the end is not yet. With this bomb, we have now added a new and revolutionary increase in destruction to supplement the growing power of our armed forces.
And that is the most important topic on earth: peace. What kind of a peace do I mean, and what kind of a peace do we seek? Not a Pax Americana, enforced on the world by American weapons of war. Not the peace of the grave, or the security of the slave. I am talking about genuine peace, the kind of peace that makes life on earth worth living, the kind that enables men and nations to grow and to hope and build a better life for their children. Not merely peace for Americans, but peace for all men and women. Not merely peace in our time, but peace in all time.